through the years, there have been many things that have caused me to take a break from a sequential series in a book. Sometimes it was an issue in the church itself that I felt needed to be addressed. And, you know, that might be triggered by I'm going through a book and there's a verse that addresses an issue that I think needs to be more explored. So I would stop and do a little bit of a series there, maybe 2 or 3 or 4 weeks, and then come back to the exposition. So that happens along the way. And people seem to love that enriches the whole process. But then there are those events which to ignore would be stupid because they're too pervasive, they're too dominating. And there have been a number of those things. And looking back, probably the first time I couldn't ignore something was the fall of Jimmy Swaggart. And that was because he was all over television, he was all over the media, and everybody knew about him in the church world. And that fall was so significant that it was all over the news, it was everywhere. I couldn't ignore that. I couldn't stay away from it. So I gave a message back in the 1990s on the fall of Jimmy Swaggart. And then there were the Watts riots, which hit LA, and it was a smoldering thing that erupted and a horrible thing. And then there was an earthquake that affected everybody dramatically here in Southern California. Then there was 9/11, which of course jolted the entire nation. And, you know, then there was a Supreme Court validating same-sex marriage, which was a huge issue that couldn't be ignored. So those kinds of things, including the Democratic election, when they decided to put homosexuality and abortion in as part of the platform, and on that basis, people would actually elect them, where flagrant sin became part of a political platform. That was monumental in the history of our country. So there are those kinds of things, and at each of those points, that there was no way that I could avoid that without people thinking I was insensitive. And they would come and leave with questions that were pervasive in their minds that weren't answered. I think you need to respond when something obviously is on their minds. And of course, this coronavirus thing is dominating in a way that even those other things didn't dominate. Nothing has dominated like this because it's basically all over the world. So you can't ignore it, and speaking to it is critical.